We're whipping out the gloves on Verizon. Now, as you may know, the shares of the telecom giant have been up 35% in the last 6 months. Much of that anticipation building about Apple's iPhone soon arriving on Verizon's wireless network. So investors are trying to figure out how big of a pop this could provide to Verizon's bottom line. Making the bullish case, Porter Bibb, managing partner with MediaTek Capital Partners, and on the bearish side is Frank Lothan. He's a telecom analyst with Raymond James. And Porter, we have to say, you're bullish, but you're sort of tepid bullish on this issue, right?
No, I think Verizon meets all criteria for value investors as well as growth. Value, they've got a consistent and very solid 5.5% yield with the dividends, but the growth is, as you touched on earlier, is not just the iPhone, which will be announced sometime in the next 30 days, not at CES, but sometime between now and Valentine's Day. And Verizon's going to sell about 14 million iPhones this year.
So would you buy it on just knowing that?
I think that you have to put the rest of the pieces into the puzzle, because it's not just the iPhone, it's the iPad that will come along with the iPhone. And with the FCC blessing consumption pricing right now, the whole driver for Verizon, as well as all of the major telecoms, is the wireless broadband usage. And they're going to be able to ramp up the prices that all of us pay to get downloaded movies and video games and other content.
Frank, you're not impressed. Why?
Well, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but the issue off the bat is that as soon as Verizon launches the iPhone, several million of their customers that they're going to get, if they sell 14 million iPhones, several million of them are going to be on their existing network. So
you think it cannibalizes their existing subscriber base?
Well, not so much that, but the customer suddenly wants to buy an iPhone, and that's a heavily subsidized product. So the customer hands Verizon a bill for $400 for which they don't get any incremental revenue. And I think most investors already know that, and we're trying to determine at what point in the year they get the iPhone, how much earnings dilution there could be from that. And I think most investors understand that, but the reality is once you see some downward revisions to earnings because of that dilution, with what may or may not be a tremendous amount of top-line growth, that doesn't really help the stock, especially as you said, it's up 35% in the last 6 months. I'm not sure that it's poised to repeat that at this point.
So you wouldn't buy it here?
Initially, you're going to see the stock rise on an announcement of the iPhone, but then the reality sets in, and I think that it's fairly well priced in and pretty well understood. The bigger driver could be what happens with their enterprise business on the wireline side.
Absolutely.
And until we get into a recovery mode, I'm not sure that that's going to move. And then if we do get in recovery, investors are going to look for more growthy industries.
You agree with that, Porter?
I do.
You guys are not supposed to agree, by the way.
I think
this is a stock brawl.
The wild card here, which Frank will probably agree with as well, is Vodafone's 45% interest in Verizon Wireless. Vodafone has been offloading their partnerships around the world right now and the various other partnerships they have in wireless. That's a $50 billion slice that is hanging there. They had serious talks last year in January and February. They broke off, but Vodafone may bring that back to the table, and that's going to make a big difference for Verizon going forward.
Porter, you think that a growth driver for Verizon could be if they buy Netflix, for example?
I think that's strictly a wild card, but Netflix is really a distributor of streamed content, and that's what Verizon is turning out to be, and it makes great sense for them. They don't have a whole lot of content on Fios, and this would jumpstart Fios and make them a very serious player.
Would that make you want to buy it more than Frank?
Oh.
Not really. I think they'd end up paying a high multiple, and I'm not convinced that there's as much of an advantage for owning that content, or that they couldn't create something similar themselves, particularly with the relatively small footprint they have for Fios based relative to, say, a national distribution that Netflix has.
So if you don't like Verizon at these levels, is there something else that you follow, a competitor of theirs, that you like better?
Well, we're really looking more at the data center side of the world and looking at some of those names like Equinix and so forth, that we think is where a lot of this we're talking about a data play here, wireless, wireline, all of this ends up running through various data centers. We think there's a lot of value in long-term secular growth in the pure plays in that segment.
And Porter, is Verizon your favorite in this sector?
I think you've got to look at their 4G network and the fact that wireless broadband is a driver for all of telecom, and that is going to be a gigantic consumer business going forward.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Mandy.
We're about 20 minutes away, Bill, from the closing